What is the purpose? Self-defense. The purpose is not to cause any fear. The purpose is to strengthen your mind, to get rid of the superstition and the fear as we move forward in the Great Awakening. As you move forward in your occult, esoteric studies, to remove the limitations you have placed upon yourself. Now, bear with me. They wrote this book in year 1200, so you know it's the way they used to write back then. It's kind of don't flow all that smooth, but just just bear with me. I'm gonna try my best to read it the best as I can, and I'm gonna also put my own personal opinions on what's being read. There are two forms of haunting which have to be considered. The one which is due to a discarnate soul who interferes with a particular person, and the one which is due to the conditions prevailing in a particular place, and which affects any person sufficiently sensitive who happens to go there, except in cases where the influence is exceptionally strong. The insensitive person is immune. To perceive a haunting, one needs, as a general rule, to be slightly psychic. It is for this reason that children, Celts, and the colored races suffer severely from such interferences, and the stolid Nordic type is comparatively immune, and to a lesser extent, the lively, materialistic, and skeptical Latin. Let us consider first all Let us consider first of all the question of interference by a discarnate soul. It will be noted that I use the term interference and not attack. The disturbance need not be necessarily an attack, any more than the drowning man who clings to his rescuer and drags him under is motivated by malice. The entity that is causing the trouble may be a soul that is itself in distress on the inner planes and is too ignorant of post mortem conditions to know the harm it is doing by clinging so desperately to the living. That's another reason why I say you don't have to be afraid and you have the power to stop these things. The power is in you to say, hey, get off of my ass. But if you're living in fear, it's gonna be hard for you to say, "Hey, get off my ass," because you're gonna be too in panic mode, screaming and hollering and yelling. So it's a demon after me. Instead, just calm it down and say, "Hey, get off my ass." It is for this reason that the wide decimation of spiritualistic teaching is of value, for it helps to relieve the tension between this world and the next. Another thing I want to say is, you know how people be talking about doing hexes and curses and spells on people, right? You don't have to worry about that. The only way that stuff work on you is if you accept it. And another thing is when people do that stuff to people, they get that back. When we give out, we get back. So you don't have to do anything but say, hmm, be calm, be at peace, believe in the power that God has given you, and say, okay, I'm gonna chill out and I'm gonna let this play out. I am protected. I know I am protected. I have nothing to worry about. The person that's trying to so-called throw hexes and curses at you and spells at you, they gonna get all that negative energy gonna come right back to them anyway. You don't have to lift a finger. What causes destruction is when people accept it in their mind and their heart that somebody got that type of power over them in the first place, which they don't. You have given them that power by agreeing that they do have that power. The easiest way to take your power back is to say, no one has dominion over me. It's that simple. Now, like I said, you don't have to take this stuff personal. It's just a form of ignorance. So if somebody is trying to do these things to you, just say, all right, you gonna get you gonna, you gonna get that back. You trying to hurt me, you gonna end up hurting yourself. That's what happens. Especially now, since the vibration is speeding up and we coming into this great awakening. It's not like how it used to be. Now you do something to somebody that it come back fast. Because first of all, we ain't supposed to be trying to harm each other anyway. But let's continue. As far as my experience goes, I am inclined to think that deliberate malevolence is rare. But this panic-stricken clinging is not uncommon. And it explains why the survivor of a pair sometimes go through very unpleasant experiences after the death of a partner. There are also cases, though rare, wherein a soul who has some occult knowledge but is bound strongly to earth by sensual desires uses a curious form of rapport in order to gratify those desires through the physical body of another. There are innumerable instances of both these types of astral interference in occult and spiritualistic literature. But as I am confining myself to cases within my own experience, I will not cite them, but limit myself to listing the literature of the subject in the bibliography. Someone of my acquaintance lost, after a long illness, her husband, to whom she was much attached, but whom most people would have thought she was well rid of, as for many years he had been addicted to drink and died finally after a long illness during which he was kept under morphine for prolonged periods, taking enormous quantities. He was a man of intensely malignant and selfish disposition, and died unrepentant. Basically, he died without making atonement for his actions. He died without balancing out what he did. You, like I said, you do people wrong, you're not getting, you're gonna get away with it. I'm not saying that you're gonna suffer greatly for it. I'm just saying you have to be responsible, accountable for your actions. None of us are going to get away with the fuckery we have done. So the best thing for you to do, if you have done fuckery to someone or yourself, is to ask for forgiveness. If you don't want to go and ask them personally, just go with inside of yourself and imagine them that you're talking to them and say, "Can you forgive me for my actions which I have caused you?" You could do that for yourself too. You can say, "I forgive myself for the fuckery I have caused upon myself." I forgive. Can you forgive me for the bullshit I did the other night? That wasn't right. I wasn't in my right state of mind. I apologize. Stuff like that. Okay, now, she, however, during the course of his last illness, when being bedridden, he could do no more harm, elected to idolize him, and as soon as he was safely dead, canonized him into the family saint. Also, when you ask for forgiveness, stop doing what you're doing. Don't keep asking for forgiveness and then go and do the same thing over and over again. Say, that was wrong of me. I shouldn't have did that. I ask for forgiveness and I'm not going to do that no more. Let it go. Move on. She was interested in occultism and in the habit of practicing meditation and invoking the masters. In spite of all counsel to the contrary, she began to try and get into psychic touch with her husband, invoking him as her God. Like many other men of a sensual disposition, he had clung desperately to life. Fortunately, for all concerned, it has been possible to persuade her to have his remains cremated. But despite all persuasion, she brought all his belongings from the nursing home where he had died and kept them in her bedroom and made a little altar around his photograph and used it as the focus of her meditations. The last illness had been a long and trying one, and she had been living at the end of a telephone wire in a state of constant anxiety for weeks, but had no physical strain. So there was nothing physical to account for the serious illness when ensued after the strain was over. What's up, Mr. D? It soon became noticeable that she, who had previously had a very lovable and gentle disposition, was gradually changing, so that not only in temperament but in facial expression, she was growing like her late husband. Next, a curious thing ensued. Her husband had died of an inflammatory spinal lesion, which caused no pain at the site of the trouble, but intense pain in the nerves that issued from the spine at that point, so that the pain was referred to a particular distribution in the hands and arms, more upon one side than the other. The lady developed a serious neuritis that exactly corresponded in its distribution to her husband's symptoms. Another illustrative case is that of Miss E, whose fiance was killed during the war. She says in a letter written to the person whom she consulted with regard to her problem, I was able to rise above the loss and separation at the time, but 6 months later, I suffered nervous breakdown. From this time, I have been troubled with weak nerves. For the last 2 months, I have been very extraordinary. For the last 2 months, I have been having very extraordinary experiences which are causing me much perplexity and rendering me unfit to work. It is a night's experience and has not once occurred during the day. After I have composed myself for sleep, I find that gradually my body is losing all sensation. It feels as if I was being slowly frozen stiff. I don't know how else to describe it. At this stage, I can sometimes rouse myself and overcome it, but I cannot always do this. My efforts to rouse myself are in vain, and although fully conscious, I feel unable to move or call. Usually, after this, I sink into some kind of sleep. I have all kinds of experiences. Sometimes I visit strange places and talk with people I don't know. Sometimes I am threatened with danger of drowning or falling, but in these cases, I always rise in the air and travel for miles. It seems to me, sometimes I feel that I am just floating in the air. How long the dream lasts, I cannot tell. When I wake up, however, I have great difficulty in moving for some time, but gradually I retain the power to move about. And after a lot of stinging sensation in the limbs, I get up, usually feeling very tired and refreshed. But sometimes I feel none the worse for the strange experience. But it is undermining my health and happiness, and it cannot be good. In conversation, she amplified the statements in her letter and said that during the experience described, someone she thought it was her fiance was trying to prevent her from getting back into her body again after these nocturnal expeditions. The case was entirely cleared up in 1 week by means of telepathic treatment. The notes on the matter in which the work was done are of considerable interest. The treatment was given to the entity that was causing the trouble, not merely the patient, and it was the release of the obsessor from his plane of work and helping him heavenward that gave freedom to his victim. So what she's saying is that the spirit, the astral being, was they had a telepathic treatment, and basically they was convincing him to go towards the light, go towards transition to the other side, leave this earthly plane. Because sometimes when people die, when they leave this body, when they spirit leave this body, they still try to linger around here because that's what they're familiar with. And if the person wasn't really the type of person to study these type of things, they don't have no knowledge of stuff. Most people think this stuff not real anyway. So when they die, they don't know like, oh, I'm dead. They don't. Sometimes people still think they alive. They don't even know. They don't even know they dead, right? So people like us, we help them transition, and it's people on the other side that can help them with that too. But my point is, back then during these times, they really didn't study a lot of this stuff because it was looked at as evil. See what I'm saying? So you would never see somebody on any platform in the 1600s talking about hauntings because they would most likely be hung in the witch hunt. So people would stay away from this stuff. So if somebody passed away, they would have no knowledge of, oh, I'm a spiritual being. I'm supposed to go on and continue my journey. I'm not supposed to stay here. Or like she said earlier, they could have some earthly attachment, some sensual attachment. Some people just not ready to leave the earth experience. They still thirst for that physical feeling. And the other type of hunting, that in which it is the place which is the focus of manifestation, not a special person. We must distinguish between the earthbound entity, which remains attached to a particular spot, and the thought atmosphere, which is left behind after violent emotions have been experienced there. The thought atmosphere. See, so let's say somebody got killed in this room, and they was brutally murdered. For a while, those thoughts that they was having gonna still be in this room. And if you are a person who can pick up on these thoughts, if you have sensitive abilities, you could pick up on this stuff, and then you might not feel comfortable in the room, or you might be the other type of person, and you could tell some people exactly what happened, or in the room, like in them detective movies when somebody could see what happened, but they wasn't there. That's because they picking up on the thought atmosphere, the emotional atmosphere. But the thought atmosphere specifically because you can see the images that they saw is telepathic. And then, like she said, the violent emotions have been experienced there. So you got thoughts and emotions there. Let us consider the question of thought atmosphere, of which I can give a very illuminating example. A friend of mine who was a student at a school of dramatic art consulted me concerning an attack of stage fright she had, which left her rather nervous. She was an experienced student, in fact, a pupil teacher. Why didn't you just say teacher? See what I'm saying? She was an experienced student, in fact, a teacher, and she was having some extra tuition from the head of the school. Going for her lesson one afternoon, she found that her teacher had just finished taking the junior students for their end of term examination in elocution. She went on to the stage and stood beside the small table which had been placed there for the convenience of the examiner, and commenced to recite the piece on which she was to have her lesson. She herself had no occasion for nervousness, as had already been noted. She was an experienced speaker and teacher. Moreover, nothing of importance hung upon this lesson. It was merely one of a series. Nor was she usually nervous or self conscious. But as soon as she tried to start, she experienced a complete dry up and stood paralyzed, unable to utter a word. A little prompting soon started her off. However, but when she had experienced a nasty attack of stage fright and it shook her nerve. From the psychic point of view, the explanation was not far to seek. She was standing in the mental atmosphere created by a series of girls who had gone onto that platform for an examination upon which a good deal depended for them, and who had all been correspondingly nervous. She herself, being sensitive, had been affected by this atmosphere, which induced her a similar mental space by means of what is called sympathetic induction, a phenomenon well known in electricity and in acoustics, but equally valid in psychology. No doubt, the unfortunate examinees themselves were infecting each other. It may well be that the microphone panic, so well known to broadcasters, is caused by the thought atmosphere generated by a succession of nervous people who have stood upon the same spot. An experience of my own may be of interest in this connection. I took a bed sitting room in a hostel, and as soon as I came there, I found myself afflicted with the most intense depression. I am not usually subject to the blues, being normally a cheerful soul, but as soon as I entered this room, which it was a sunny and pleasant, the cloud descended upon me, but lifted again as soon as I went out of it, whether into the dining room of the hostel or out of doors. I soon recognized that here was something that needed to be dealt with and inquired as to the history of the room. I was told that it had previously been the bedroom of the last owner of the house, who had been addicted to drink and had gone bankrupt. It is a curious fact that drunkards and drug addicts make very evil psychic atmospheres, whereas a person who is a common criminal, however bad, is not nearly so noxious, and his atmosphere fades rather rapidly. In these two cases, there was no question of an entity, discarnate or incarnate, being concerned in the matter. There was merely an, an unpleasant mental atmosphere generated by some powerful and painful emotion that had been experienced over a considerable period at that spot, because thoughts and emotions are in its energy. Literally, your thoughts is a form of energy. Your emotions, we all know emotions are energy and motion. So these things can be felt, they can be picked up on, they can be recognized by others, whether they are aware of it or not. For example, if you go around a bunch of sad people, you might start feeling sad, and you might not even know why. It's because they generating of energy of sadness. And if you walk into this room and you're not the type of person who on top of your game, because you might not even know about this stuff, you it might affect you and you might become sad and you might start thinking about stuff that saddens you that you weren't even thinking about before you walk into this room. We could flip it. You walk into a room where people are excited, having a good time, a fun time. You might have been sad, but when you walk into this room, all of a sudden now you feel good. It's like it just went away because there's an energy or vibration being produced in the atmosphere. Such a concentration, if very strong, will linger almost indefinitely. The structures that saw the concentration may have been pulled down and new ones built. Nevertheless, the forces remain, like a previous exposure on a photographic plate. Insensitive people are affected by them. The insensitive may escape comparatively scatheless. Hey, Carol. So that's another thing. Insensitive people and insensitive people. People who don't feel the vibrations and energies so easily. And they can happen in multiple ways. It can be just because they just don't have that type of capacity within themselves, or they just don't practice these things. Then somebody who practices these things, they're gonna be sensitive. But some people are born like this. Some people don't have to do anything. They just happen to be sensitive to energy, and they never practiced nothing. They never read a book. They never took any classes or nothing. It just happens that way. Some people have been practicing for years and don't feel nothing. It is not altogether an easy matter to determine whether the disturbance is due to atmosphere alone or whether an earthbound entity complicates the situation. Where an entity is present, it will usually be sooner or later. Moreover, it will usually be heard as well as felt. However, this does not indicate the presence of an organized entity. For I know of a case wherein a room that had been used as a lodge of ritual initiation was subsequently partitioned into an office and two bedrooms after the lodge was moved elsewhere, and the bedrooms were practically uninhabitable, owing to the din of cracks, bangs, and thumpings that went on at night. In such a case, there was no reason to suspect the presence of any entity, for the rituals had not been of an evocative type, evocational type, nor was the influence evil. It was merely force in a state of tension. It was sure physical noise that made the disturbance, as I can testify, for I have slept or rather tried to sleep there. And I had a coworker tell me that he was at his mom's house. It used to be he used to hear somebody like knocking on the door in the attic, like boom, 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 boom. And he said he'll tell everybody like somebody. It's all. He's like around 9 o'clock, around 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a noise in there. It's always sound like somebody knocking on something. And then he's like nobody would never believe him. But he said one time one of his family members went and stayed in that room. And they came out the room screaming and hollering because they were like, it's some noise in there. But it wasn't nobody in there with them, but they could hear somebody banging on the door. And he was like, I kept trying to tell them, but they don't know why believe me. So he said one time he just he said they found out. He said one time he was in there and the noise came and he said, hey, you scaring me. Whatever that is, can you stop that noise? And he said the noise stopped. So this is what I mean by you have the power within you. He didn't get afraid. He kept his composure and he just politely said, hey, you're scaring me. Can you stop making that noise? He said the noise stopped. Where a ghost is seen, it is usually also heard because for a form to be sufficiently substantial to be visible, there must be a modicum at least of ectoplasm in its composition. And ectoplasm is capable of exercising force on the physical plane in some degree at least. Where a ghost is both seen and heard, we may be sure there is an actual haunting. Where it is seen but not heard, it may possibly be that a person with psychic tendencies is perceiving the images in the reflecting ether, the photographic plate of nature, and there may be no actual entity present. And that's crazy because when I saw my cousin's ghost after he passed away, I could hear him. I could hear he had a teacup in his hand and he was, I guess he had like a spoon and he was banging it and you could hear like ding 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 ding. And I always used to wonder, I was a kid at the time, so I used to be like, as a kid, I really didn't think too much about it. I was just like, whatever, and went on about my business. But the older I got, I started thinking. I said, I thought ghosts was supposed to be able to pick stuff up and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I thought they hand would just go through stuff, and so if he tried to pick up a glass, he wouldn't be able to because his hand would just go through it. But he was holding it. He was holding it in his hand. The actual cup. You could see through him like he was transferring. You could see directly through him like a window. But the glass, the teacup was in his hand. And now to this day, I say, oh, like, that's crazy. He was actually holding that. And then it made me think about like poltergeist, how they be taking stuff and throwing it around the room, like in the movies, when you see like them slamming doors and slamming cabinets and throwing dishes all across the kitchen. I was like, oh, it just started clicking. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know how, but he had that motherfucker in his hand. And I still to this day be asking, what was the point of that? I was like, what was the point of that? Because he didn't say nothing to me. He didn't say nothing to me. He was just looking at me. I ain't say nothing to him either. We was just looking at each other. And we didn't have no connection in the physical realm. He was a lot older than me. I used to be hanging out with him. We didn't have no bond or nothing. I just knew he was my cousin. See what I'm saying? So when he came to show himself to me, I was like, what's the point of this? And I wanted to ask other people if they saw him, but something told me don't say. Someone said, don't say nothing. I probably was about I probably was about 7, 8, 9 years old around this time. Something told me, something said, don't tell nobody nothing. And I didn't. I ain't tell nobody nothing until I got a little bit older. And I still don't talk about that to people for real. I'm on here talking about it because I know y'all came here, so y'all interested in this stuff. And even if y'all not, you still came here. Something made you click on it. So, but in my personal life, I like I don't be talking about this stuff to people because a lot of people not ready for this stuff. They think it's a joke, and they might think you just crazy or something wrong with you. So I just let people, hey, it's your world. Do what you want to do. You don't have to believe me. I'm not gonna try to force you to believe it. I know I'm not crazy. I'm a very sane person. I got good common sense. I'm a very intelligent. I'm good. So I just like I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna keep it. I'm just gonna keep it here. You know what I'm saying? I just let it. I just talk about it when I feel I'm led to talk about it. Because and sometimes I might talk about it if I hear somebody else say something first. If I'm like hanging out and somebody be like, "You believe in ghosts?" I might be like, I might say yeah, but I might not still say nothing about my experiences until they start talking about what happened. Maybe they had something happen. Then I'll be like, okay, I can share something with this person. But other than that, I be like, I'm cool. Because people be wilding out here. They'll have your ass in the psych ward and a straight jacket. And ain't nothing wrong with me. So boom. Where was we at? Where the disturbance is heard but not seen, it may be due to astral forces set in motion by ritual magic, and which continue for a while after the original impulse is drawn. They may be perfectly harmless, except that they disturb the sleep in some way that a rattling window would do. On the other hand, if powerful evocational rituals have been performed and the clearing of the spirit has not been properly done, profound disturbances may result in the whole situation be exceedingly unpleasant. We getting a lot stronger now, mentally and emotionally. We getting a lot stronger now. So A lot of times we don't experience this stuff because since our thoughts becoming more powerful, we be overwhelming the atmosphere. Examples will again help to make the problem clear. As an instance of a non-ritual haunting, I might cite the case of a friend of mine who went to live in a block of modern mansions. From the first time, she was not happy there. And as time went by, the oppression and distress strengthened. Coming into her drawing room one evening at dusk, she saw in the half light a man standing with his back to the room, gazing intently out of the window. She switched on the light and found out that there was no one there. Good to see you too, Carol. I hope you're having a good day today. On several occasions, her maid saw someone walk down the passage leading to this room. Moreover, the hall door had a knack of coming open of its own accord. My friend's depression deepened until finally, when standing herself at the drawing room window one day, she had a sudden impulse to fling herself out. Then she realized that things were serious and that liver pills and a weekend at the seaside would not put them right. Being an occultist, she understood the significance of the happenings that had been going on in her flat, and she made inquiries concerning the history of the square in which this block of modern mansions has been built. She learned that it was the site of an old madhouse of sinister reputation. The form that she and her maid had been seen was probably that of some unfortunate patient of suicidal tendencies who had succeeded in giving effect to his impulses on a spot corresponding to the situation of her room. The terrific emotional forces generated by his brooding and last desperate act were photographed on the atmosphere, as it were, and suggested to her mind thoughts of self destruction, just as the ill temper or depression of a companion will induce a similar mood in ourselves without any words spoken. Kind of the same thing I was saying about walking into the room with sad people or another room with happy people. Don't nobody have to say nothing. It's just energy transference. And if you ain't the type of person who been doing your spiritual work, your inner work, it's easier for you to be susceptible to these things because it unconsciously creep up on you. You won't be aware that this happened. But like when you be meditating and you get into that deep meditative state where you can sit there long enough where your mind don't start drifting and shifting all over the place. What happens is once you come out of your meditation and you come back to this world, you start to be more aware of stuff because now your mind ain't just jumping all over the place, looking at this and that, looking at the curtains and the bed and the refrigerator and the TV and the floor and the mop and the broom and the trash can, and it's not just looking at everything and giving stuff titles and labels. It's actually observing still, just still, and then you start picking up on stuff that's your own thoughts. You start picking up on them. You like, damn, I didn't even realize I be thinking like that. See what I'm saying? You start hearing all that negative stuff you be saying in your head that you didn't even know you be saying. Like, I'm broke. And you will hear yourself say I'm broke while you playing the video game. And then you be like, what the fuck? Like, but that's what happened when you start meditating and you get into the deep states and you can sit there for a long time without your mind bouncing. It's still gonna bounce. But the more you do it, the better you get. And the better you get, the more aware you become. And then that's how you become more aware of your thoughts and your feelings. So where you will be out and about somewhere, and then you will be like, why am I feeling like this? I don't even know why I'm feeling like this. That's your programming. See what I'm saying? It's an unconscious program. You're like, I don't even know why I'm feeling like this. But once you start working on yourself, you start noticing these things. And then you like, oh, I didn't even notice I felt like this. Okay, so why am I feeling like this? You start asking the questions and then you start getting the answers and then you can fix it. You can say, oh, I know why I feel like this. Because of such and such and such and such happened. Bam. And then you can go and tune it up and you can say, I don't have no reason. I don't have to feel like that. Another example within the spirit of my experience, although it was not actually my case, is of much interest in that it combines an example of a very definite poltergeist hunting with vampirism. Yeah, about the brain waves and frequencies like World War I. Why you taking it off, girl? Another example within the spirit of my experience, although it was not actually my case, is of much interest in that it combines an example of a very definite poltergeist haunting with vampirism. I was once consulted by a mental healer to whom a very curious case had been brought. I'll bring it up. We're going to talk about it. Some charitably disposed people had raised funds to found a home for unwanted babies, and a suitable house had been purchased on the outskirts of a village not far from London. The house had been a conspicuous bargain, and they were very pleased with it. Soon, however, they began to be disturbed by some curious phenomena and also by inexplicable illness and seizures among the babies. One child, in fact, actually died, and his death was not satisfactorily accounted for. Then one of the nurses, an Irish girl, began to be affected also. Celts are notoriously susceptible to psychic influences and are always the first to be affected by them. It will be observed that the babies went down first under their attack, the resistance being low compared to an adult, and then the most sensitive of the adults was affected, the Irish Celt. On several occasions, the sound was heard of a cart and horse coming up the drive, but when the maid went to the door to open it, there was nothing to be seen. Soon the ghost became even more energetic and took to the shoveling the coal from side to side of an outhouse. It would shift several tons of coal in the way in a night. The occupants of the house lying shivering in their beds while lumps of coal thudded and rumbled against the sides of the bunkers. As to why or wherefore this particular manifestation should take place, I can offer no suggestion. Knowing this stuff can help you in your dreams too. Like when you have so-called nightmares, it can help you in overcoming those too. Nightmares can be overcome. If it's a if it's a monster chasing you in your dream, you have to face the monster. If you keep running from the monster, you're gonna keep having the nightmare. The nightmare won't succeed, won't the nightmare won't go away until you face the monster. Now you could try to ignore it, but it's just gonna be buried inside of you. You're never gonna get to the core of the actual issue, which may be cool depending on the person. Some people not ready to deal with the dark side of themselves. Some people not ready to deal with the unhealed parts of themselves, and there's no rush. Just putting that out there for people who may be ready to face that part of themselves, so you can move and grow to the next level. Because once you overcome your fears, you become more powerful. Once you overcome your fears, you are less susceptible to be drained or to be psychically attacked. On several occasions, different people saw a strange man crossing the hall, and immediately afterwards, children were taken ill. And then you could do stuff like this. Like I was always a big fan of Egyptian mythology. So like I do stuff like I always had a connection with Anubis, right? So I know in my imagination, Anubis protects me. So nothing ain't gonna be able to touch me because in my imagination, in my mind, I am protected. Now you don't have to use Anubis. You can use anything. You can use Jesus if that's what you want to use. You know what I'm saying? You could use Buddha. You could use any powerful figure, anything that you feel as powerful. You could use that and as a form of protection. All you have to do is say it, feel it, know it, imagine it. I am protected. You could use argon. Yep. Anything. Crystals. Some people use crystals like selenite. Selenite is very good for cleansing the energies. Some people will wear this stuff like this. That's where all that stuff come from. That's where the cross come from. It was a form of protection. It's not that the cross is powerful. It's the it's the emotion and the thought that makes the cross powerful. Because if I know you've seen movies or you have read books where people try to use the cross and it don't work, that's because they don't really truly believe that it works. So, like I said, the power is within you. You just you can use the item as a tool, but the item is ain't no power in the item. The power you give power to the item. Finally, in addition to all other troubles, mysterious fires began to break all out all over the house. A basket of clean linen in an empty room was found to be on fire. Curtains were found to be smoldering. Meanwhile, the unfortunate Irish nurse went from bad to worse, lying in bed too weak to stand up and rapidly going off her head. It would probably be suggested that some mischievous or demented person was at the bottom of the trouble, but it is difficult to know what human agency either could or would shovel a truckload of coal across a shed single handed during the night. The superintendent of the home was interested in mental healing, just like me. The superintendent of the home was interested in mental healing and knew enough of the mind side of things to realize that something abnormal was happening in the house under her charge. She consulted a mental healer who in turn consulted me. It's funny because that's what I call myself. I call myself a mental healer. So when I saw that, it's kind of really it just kind of made me think like that's interesting. Cause that's what I call myself. I'm a mental healer. You know how some people say they are spiritual healers, energy healers, Reiki healers. I'm a mental healer. I heal the mind. Cause I feel like the mind is where everything starts. It actually starts in the heart, but the mind is like the what's the word I'm looking for? The animating factor in everything. So what you see is what you get. Like what you see is what you get. It's what you get. I said what you see is what you get. Like that type shit. I made this. Am I on the right page? Hold on, y'all. My bad. Yeah, she consulted a mental healer who in turn consulted me. I went to see this lady too. She's a medium, a psychic medium, and we were talking and stuff, and I asked her, I said, what I come here to do? You know what I'm saying? I said, so can you tell me like what I come here to do? And then she did her thing. She was like, you came here to do such and such. And then I was telling her about me being a mental healer, and she was sitting there, she was like, what you call yourself? I said, a mental healer. And she was like, hmm. And I just thought that was interesting for somebody coming from her because she always in the middle of the good stuff. So I was thinking in my head, I was like, has she never heard of this before? If she haven't, then that's kind of interesting because I would assume that she would have heard something like that. But like I said, some people don't like you got people who read tarot cards, right? And they giving the power to the cards, not realizing that the cards is just showing you what's in your mind and the person's mind that you're reading. So when you're doing the tarot reading for somebody, the cards is just showing you the thoughts, the emotions, and the events inside of that person, and you just reading it back to them. And that's why people, if you're a good tarot reader, you don't have to ask somebody nothing, and you're gonna be able to tell them stuff about themselves, stuff that they thinking about, stuff that they should look out for, and they're gonna be like, "Yup, like 511, yup, healers, 11s." Anytime I see somebody with that number 11 in their numerology chart, I'll be like, "This person don't." I want this person to know that they a healer. Like you 11s are master healers. 22s are too, but 22s usually deal with the practical side of things. Like a 22 will be making crystal, argon, and organize. See what I'm saying? They more hands-on, practical type people. Now, the 22 will build a healing center and have 11s in their healing people. So I'll be like, this stuff is amazing. Like when I started studying all this stuff, I'm like, this stuff is amazing, man. I wish more people would look into this stuff. This world would be a better place. So that's why I be on here running my mouth and stuff. And then, but you're right. Anytime I see 11, I know somebody who got the lifetime 11 and a destiny number 11. And I be like, man, if you just get into your bag. And they always be complaining about money and stuff. I was like, if you just get into your bag, you could be one of the richest on the planet. You could be one of the richest people on the planet. You got all that energy. Yes, because they can sense it. They know. People can feel it. Some people, some people know it's consciously. Some people can see it on you, and some people can't. But they spirit can. And their spirit might not be right. Their spirit might be like, I need to get some of that, boy. I need to get some of that because you got to think about it. The 11 is the most highly vibrational number of them all. It's the most highly vibrational of them all. 11 is like an antenna. It's a channel, right? It is the highest vibration of all the numbers. You have so much energy, so much potential. Sometimes a lot of 11s don't even know what to do with all that energy. Yes, sexual healers as well. Yes, and then so you have to balance these things out. And most of the time, what happens is your astrology is gonna help you balance this stuff out. Your other numbers will help you balance this stuff out. But you gotta do it too. We gotta put the effort in too. So, like for example, my destiny number is 11, right? So I gotta have something to help me with that, or else I just be all over the place. I just be always imagining this stuff, always in la la land, never in here, never in this 3D world, always in the fourth dimension and in the fifth dimension, and that's cool. But you might as well be dead if you If you gonna be in the fourth dimension, in the fifth dimension, in the sixth dimension, you might as well just go on leave the damn body. So as an 11, we have to find ways to ground ourselves. Now, this what happened for me. I got the life out of 8, which is a earth number. So that helps me balance out my see what I'm saying? Yes, and then like you said, visionaries. So boom, you get so many channels. You get lots and lots of ideals. So like 11s is good for them to get in tune with the earth side of themselves, the practical side of themselves. Um, Also working on the emotional side of themselves because a lot of 11 seem to be very sensitive. They just be crying and complaining about stuff because they can feel all that emotion. So they got to find a way to ground it. So it's like being on earth is, yup, you manifest easily too once you understand. Well, as an 11, you manifest. We always manifest it anyway. But I get what you're saying. You start to manifest things that you actually want. Instead of just all kind of stuff. So, yeah, as an 11, you got to be on top of your game. And then, like the 22s, they just like 11 too, but they more practical because they got that earth element. They got that 4. See what I'm saying? 2 plus 2 is 4. They got that earth to help them keep their shit. Well, 11 is you got a lot of energy, so you gotta work. You gotta work it. The more you can work it, the better you can get. When I came into numerology, and I was like 11, what that mean? And I started reading on. I was like, oh, I gotta make it happen, man. I'm just sitting on here daydreaming. No, I gotta make some stuff happen. All right. I'm gonna do a numerology live one day about the number 11 because we could talk all day about that. Okay. I made a psychic diagnosis of the case and reported that, in my opinion, the house at some time been occupied by someone who had a knowledge of occultism and who, being upon the left hand path, objected strongly to going to face his portion of purgatory after the death of the physical body, and that he was maintaining himself in an intermediate state as an earthbound spirit by drawing upon the vitality of the unfortunate children, and had accidentally drawn too much from one, thus outright killing it. The fact that you're 11 is why you're here watching this video. See what I'm saying? Like this stuff is legit. Like the fact that you're a life path 11, it's make perfect sense that you're here watching this. But okay, working on the hypothesis, the healer undertook to give the case absent treatment. Needless to say, the officials of the home were not taken into our confidence. Also, one more thing I want to say before I continue is 11s are weird, unusual, strange. So a lot of times we tend to hide ourselves, our true selves, because we don't want people looking at us, calling us weird and strange and stuff. But we got to stop doing that. We got to start saying, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to be my true self. Because 11 is also the Leo energy, embracing your confidence, embracing who you are truly at heart, being confident in yourself, stepping out into the spotlight, meaning that I don't care if I look weird and strange to y'all. I'm just gonna be a weird, strange motherfucker, and I'm gonna have fun doing it. Okay, so boom. The result of this treatment was that the manifestations immediately ceased. No more children had seizures, and the Irish nurse rapidly recovered. The superintendent was then told the hypothesis upon which we had worked. She was greatly interested and made inquiries in the village as to the history of the house and learned that it was notoriously haunted. which was the reason they had obtained it so cheaply. That's how they got the house for the cheap price, because people don't be no people be wild. They was doing this in the 1600s. You know what I'm saying? This 2000, they still out here doing wild. And somebody sell you a house trying to get rid of it real fast. You wonder why? It's ambiverts, extroverted and introverted. We more extroverted around people we comfortable with. So it's sometimes you get misjudged. People think you this type of person. They think you just quiet, shy, and a chill person till they get to know you. And then they like, this motherfucker crazy. This motherfucker serious as hell. I had people say stuff like, y'all don't know Ant like I know Ant. He wilder than me. Like, I think I'm the bad guy. he the one that be tripping, but that's because I feel comfortable around that person. But I even told myself, I said, I'm gonna stop doing it. I'm gonna start being more open, even when I'm uncomfortable. I'm gonna use that as a way to heal myself. When I feel uncomfortable around people, I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna say something crazy just to get that off my chest, get that fear off my chest. Because, like I said, the less fear we have, the more powerful we become. Even with psychic self defense, the reason why people be getting beat down in an actual plane is because they be scared. They be scared to say, "Get the fuck up off of me." Okay, so boom. Yeah, okay, so they sold it in a house for that cheap price. That's right, that's right. It appeared that no tenant could stop their loan and that there was a constant record of these exhausting and mysterious illnesses. It also transpired that about 60 years previously, the house had been occupied for a long period by a man who was viewed as scant, so whatever the hell that means, by his neighbors as an eccentric and mysterious person, and was reported to be engaged in some sort of research which necessitated to the use of a laboratory into which no one was ever allowed to go, in which he worked at night. So this man was, getting it in, and he didn't want nobody to know what he was doing. It is interesting to know that neither the mental healer nor myself ever visited the house or were within 20 miles of it. For it shows in what way these unseen forces can be manipulated from a distance. A final example, taken from the Confessions of Aleister Crowley, will serve to show the nature of a haunting produced by ceremonial magic in which the forces invoked are not adequately dispersed. The demons connected with a Bramelin do not wait to be invoked. They come unsought. One night, Jones and I went out to dinner. I noticed on leaving the White Temple that the latch of its Yale lock had not been locked. See what I'm saying? Accordingly, I pulled the door and tested it. As we went out, we noticed semi-solid shadows on the stairs. The whole atmosphere was vibrating with the forces we had been using. We were trying to condense them into sensible images. When we came back, nothing had been disturbed in the flat, but the temple door was wide open, the furniture disarranged, and some of the symbols flung about the room. We restored order, and then observed the semi-materialized beings were marching around the main room in almost unending procession. Now, I ain't gonna lie, it can be scary if you see a motherfucking shadow standing in your room. That might be scary. So I'm not ignorant to the fact that I can understand why people be afraid of this stuff. But what you gonna do? You gonna just let it have its way? No, you cannot just have your way. When I finally left the flat for Scotland, it was found that the mirrors were too big to take out, except by the way of the Black Temple. This had, of course, been completely dismantled before the workmen arrived, but the atmosphere remained, and two of them were put out of action for several hours. It was almost a weekly experience, by the way, to hear of casual callers fainting or being seized with dizziness, cramp on the staircase. It was a long time before these rooms were relet. People felt instinctively the presence of something uncanny. Mhm. It is well known to all psychics that the sites of ancient temples where mysterious rituals have been worked are always potently charged with psychic force. The force need not necessarily be evil, but it has a powerfully stimulating effect upon the psychic centers and stirs up the subconscious forces. And as the majority of civilized people suffer in a greater or lesser degree from what Freud calls repression, such a stirring of the subliminal mind produces a feeling of profound disturbance. We should not unquestioningly attribute evil influence to a place or a person that causes us discomfort. For it can be merely that the psychic force at a greater tension than we are accustomed to is just disturbing to our equilibrium. The sight of Monos, I'm glad she said that too, because everything is not evil. Some things are just misunderstood. And by evil, I mean everything is not intentionally trying to harm you. Some stuff just misunderstood, like electricity. If you stick your finger in that socket, it's not trying to hurt you. You just shouldn't put your finger in there. If you put your finger in the, put your hand in the fire is not evil. You just didn't know better not to put your hand in there. And the fire don't care. It's not going to hell. God not gonna be like, I'm gonna send that fire to hell for burning him. No, you just didn't understand. You just had a misunderstanding. But now you know better. All right, I ain't gonna do that no more. The fire don't have any emotional attachments. Like, oh, I should have never burnt his hand, feeling guilty. No, that's how we have to become as well. The fire not sitting there crying like I should have never burnt that person, and then it's just years and years. The fire just in emotional pain because it burnt somebody 2 days ago, 5 days ago, 6 years ago. The fire just in the room crying. I should have never did that. No, it just happened. It wasn't trying to hurt nobody. The sites of monasteries that were disbanded with persecution at the time of the Reformation are also frequently badly haunted by psychic forces. The group mind of a religious community is a very potent thing, and when it is disturbed by the corporate emotion of its members, the forces that let loose are not readily dispersed. Moreover, the monks, initiates of the mysteries of Jesus, would not be likely to hand over the sacred places to the despoilers with any goodwill. It has been reported again and again that a curse rests on those who profited by the exploitation of church lands. This is too well known to require discussion in these pages. I know it's funny, but it's true. You got the fire in the room, he just crying and shit because he made a mistake. No. There is another fact in connection with church property, however, which may not be so well known, and that is the frequency with which psychic happenings are reported in connection with vicariages. And inquiring among friends and fellow workers for data in connection with the research that has gone to the making of this book, I have been astonished how frequently a vicariage has been mentioned in connection with the phenomena of which I have been told. The rituals of the church are, of course, ceremonial magic, as is admitted by even such orthodox authority as Evelyn Underhill. The average clergyman is not conversant with the technique of occultism and has therefore little or no understanding of what he is doing. What influences he brings to the altar, and what forces he takes away therefrom, must therefore be an open question of each individual case. A man whose consciousness has been exalted by a ritual and who does not know how to seal his aura and return to normal is liable to psychic invasion. This also could be like schizophrenia and bipolar, especially like schizophrenia. And this can happen unintentionally, just from you always worrying and stressing out. You don't understand what's happening to your aura when you always worrying and stressing about people and places and things. Stop worrying and stressing so much. When you do that, your aura, your field of energy is has leaks in them. It has you are allowing things to penetrate your field of protection just from you worrying and stressing all the time. It's not healthy. And I know it weakens, exactly. And I know we try to make it seem like it's normal. That stuff is not healthy for us. Does it happen? Yes. Get it off your chest, get it over with. You had a bad day, okay. Accept the fact that you had a bad day. Move on. Don't keep thinking about the bad days 10 days from now. That happened 10 days ago. I know it's easier said than done, but what's important is once you know the truth will set you free. Once you know better, you do better. Objects associated with any form of ceremonial operation are invariably highly charged with magnetism and intimately linked with the force whose uses they have served. I remember, yep, becoming mindful, exactly. And then just realize it's life. Stuff is gonna happen. It's okay. Things should happen to all of us. We all go through things. I'm not saying that make it better. I'm just saying shit happens. So what? So what? Okay, it happened. And what's next? Now what? Now what's next? I remember many years ago when I had but little knowledge of occultism and no pretensions at all to psychism. The two friends and myself were amusing ourselves by turning over each other's trinket boxes. I picked up a handsome amethyst cross from one of them and immediately exclaimed, "There is something extraordinary about this cross. I feel it feels as if it were alive." "That was the cross that was given me at my first communion," replied my friend, "and it was originally a bishop's pectoral cross." Her sister was greatly interested and immediately brought her own jewel case to me and asked me if I could pick out her first communion cross also. For like her sister, she was a Roman Catholic, and these crosses that were given them as presents on the occasion of their first communion had been specially blessed by the priest. I was greatly interested to observe that from 3 or 4 ornamental crosses I was able to pick one which felt warm and living and electric to the hand and pass it across to her saying, "This is your communion cross." And it was. That right there is also how you can practice. That little section right there is also a good example of practicing energy practice, how to sense energy and stuff like that. She was just doing it naturally. But that in itself is a practice, a technique that can be used to amplify your own gifts and abilities. And like I always say, don't get into this stuff if you've got fear. If you got any sense of fear, you should just leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? I remember once as a small child picking up a dying rook. The creature lay motionless on my knee for a few minutes and then gave a flutter and died. I had never seen death before, but I needed no one to tell me that I saw it now. the feel of the creature before and after that flutter was different. I can only compare the feel of the magnetized and the unmagnetized cross to the difference between the living and the dead bird. So she basically felt the same thing. The cross, she said she felt like it was alive because it was magnetized. Somebody had put their thoughts and emotions on it. If you take your crystal and you cry on it, speak to it, treat it like it's a real, it's going to feel like that. It's going to pick up on that energy. It's like you're charging it with energy. You're giving it life. Give it a name. Uh, kiss it, say I love you, say thank you, talk to it like it's a person, all that stuff. You giving it life. You putting your energy into it. You having a making a bond, a connection to it. Now the crystal is very much alive without your energy. It already has its own vibration naturally. But when you combine yours with it becomes even more powerful. But the Christian is not the only religion that can magnetize its ceremonial instruments. There are other ritualistic religions, and some of these are debased. We ought to use much caution before we place about our rooms as ornaments, objects which may have been associated with cults whose nature we do not understand. Many of them, of course, belong to the Brahmagam cult and are dedicated to no more desperate deity than Mammon. But the genuine curio is a different matter. I had an example of this once in the British Museum. I was visiting the room in the basement which contains a collection of plaster casts of the famous statues of antiquity, the originals being elsewhere. Suddenly I became aware of a sense of magnetic power. I turned towards it and saw a small altar. Reading the label, I found that this was not a cast but the original. It is very interesting. It is a very interesting test of psychism to sample the atmosphere of the different rooms of the British Museum. The benign and brooding peace of the Buddhist room is a thing to be remembered. The flavor of the ethnological room is a thing to be got out of the mouth as quickly as possible. To me, at any rate, the Egyptian is disappointing. The mummy seemed neither maligning or benign, but more surly, but more cynical. Perhaps I should feel differently, however, if I spent the night with them. Magnetism, which is dispersed during the day, charges up again in the silence and darkness of the night. Now, the reason why I just got excited is because this applies to you in a human vessel as well. Magnetism, which is dispersed during the day, charges up again in the silence and darkness at night. Now, at nighttime, it's silent and dark, right? What happens when you close your eyes and sit in silence? What you think is happening? You're charging up. I remember visiting Stonehenge amid a crowd of trippers and Carabonks and thinking that the glory had departed. But it was a very different affair when I visited in the desolation of a bleak spring day after its long winter solitude. It had charged up again and was as formidable anyone could wish. I should hesitate to say that because the mummies and I have never struck sparks when we met in the British Museum, that their reputation is groundless. At that time, that Tutankhamun's tomb was being opened, I said to myself, if the mummy's curse does not work in this case, I shall lose my faith in occultism. We all know how it has worked, even onto the third and fourth generation. No novelist deriving his ideas of ancient Egypt from the encyclopedia article on Egyptology and some photographs will have dared stretch the long arm of coincidence anything like its far. The Egyptians attached great importance to the preservation of the physical body. The tombs of great men, and is well known, were protected by means of what are properly called spells. And the power and scope of Egyptian magic are things that very few people realize. The modern student of occultists who reads Iamblichus on the Egyptian mysteries will have a surprise. In most cases, however, the purchaser of Egyptian curios has nothing to fear. The worst that they will yield to psychic investigation is a vision of labor disputes in a mass production factory. I have, however, heard of a very wonderful psychometric reading which was obtained from a mummy which, when subsequently unrolled, was found to consist entirely of French newspapers of recent date. I have also been greatly amused by the indignation of Egyptologists among tomb raiders. After all, is there any distinction between the earlier and later visitors to a tomb, except that one lot worked by day and the other by night? It's a good question. In the view of people who made the tomb and spared nothing to render it inviolate and preserve the peace of their dead, the workers by night would probably be preferred, for they merely robbed and did not strip and expose the new bodies to the public gaze. Hmm. That's very interesting. There was a terrible outcry recently when some bodies were moved in a village churchyard to make room for the monument chosen to decorate the grave of a famous public man. Even the people whose religious feelings were not outraged by this act of sacrilege regarded it as in shocking bad taste. Yet nobody proposed to strip the grave cloths from the body of someone's wife or mother and photograph it stark naked. When it comes to the question of the mummy's curse, I am afraid that my sympathies are entirely with the mummy. The initiate is strictly counseled that he should never blaspheme the name by which another knoweth his God. For it is the same force that he himself worships represented by another symbol. The ways to God are as many as the breaths of the Son of Man, says the old Arab proverb. We should have enough sympathy with the struggles of another soul towards the light, not to desecrate the things that are sanctified by his hopes and endeavors, even if by nothing else. The Father of us all may understand their significance better than we do, and by his acceptance, consecrate them forever. There are many Europeans who have great affection for the Buddha and have his statue in their rooms, though sometimes they confuse it with Shanrisi, Kanrisi, the stout and beaming god of good luck. Oh, they talking about, I know what they talking about. That the influence of that great being, the light of Asia, is noble and benign. I would be the last to deny. But the statues of the Buddha are a different matter and need to be approached with caution if genuine. Some of the worst black magic in the world is a debased form of Buddhism. To say this is not to insult the venerable faith, for it is only lack of opportunity that prevents the black mass from occupying that dubious eminence. In the Tibetan monasteries of the Dugpa sect, there are temples, each one of which contain literally thousands of statues of the Buddha. On various occasions, one or another of these monasteries has been raided, either by rival religionists or Chinese troops, and its curios scattered. To be the possessor of one of these Buddhas, magnetized by Dugpa rites, is not a very pleasant thing. I had a curious experience with a Buddha upon one occasion. It was an archaic soapstone statuette, some 9 inches high, and its owner had dug it up herself on the site of a Burmese city that had fallen in ruin and been swallowed by the jungle. It was placed on the floor in the angle of the stairs and served as a doorstop upon occasion. I had a flat on the top floor and had to pass the melancholy little Buddha each time I came in or went out. And to me, it seemed a desecration to see the sacred symbol of another faith treated as such. I tried to point this out to her and asked her how she would feel if she saw a crucifix thus utilized, but without result. Meanwhile, the little Buddha sat there patiently, getting the carpet sweeper push in his face and receiving libations of slops. One day, passing upstairs, burning a bunch of flowers, I was prompted to throw him before I was prompted to throw before him one of the traditional marigolds of Indian devotion. Immediately, I was conscious that a link had been formed between myself and the little statue, and that it was sinister. A night or two afterwards, I was returning home rather late, and as I passed the Buddha, I had a feeling that there was something behind me, and looking over my shoulder, saw a ball of pale golden light about the size of a football separate itself from the Buddha and come rolling up the stairs after me. Thoroughly alarmed and disliking this manifestation very much indeed, I immediately made a banishing gesture, and the ball of light returned down the stairs and was reabsorbed into the Buddha, who, needless to say, got no more marigolds from me, and received a very wide berth until I left the flat shortly after. The experience was a singularly unpleasant one and was a sharp lesson to me to not meddle with the sacred objects of another system unless I knew exactly what it was about. I learned subsequently that some of these statues are consecrated with the blood of a human sacrifice. I do not mean to imply this that all Buddhist statues have been so treated. Such some are, I should imagine, cooperatively rare. But I think no one who has knowledge of the facts will deny that they occur, even as one might occasionally come across a crucifix which has been used upside down at a black mass. It is not every case of psychic disturbance, however, which originates externally. It is a well-known cosmic law that everything moves in circles, spirals, and whatever forces we send out and whatever thought forms we extrude from our auras, unless absorbed by the object to which they are directed, will return to us in due course. I was just talking about that earlier. One of the most effective and also one of the most widely practiced methods of occult defense is to refuse to react to an attack, neither accepting nor neutralizing the forces projected against one, and thus turning them back to the sender. We must never overlook the fact that a so-called occult attack may be evil thought forms returning home to roost. You see that? Be careful, because what you give out, you get back. So if you already having negative thoughts about people, they might just come back to you, and you might have forgot that you was thinking these things, and now you think it's some demon after you. Whole time the demon is your ass. There are certain types of insanity in which the lunatic believes himself to be the victim of an attack by invisible beings who threaten and abuse him and offer base or dangerous insinuations. He would describe his tormentors or point to their position in the room. A psychic who investigates such a case can very often see the alleged entities just where the lunatic says they are. Nevertheless, the psychologist can come forward and prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the so called hallucinations are due to repressed instincts giving rise to disassociated complexes of ideas in the patient's own subconscious mind. Does this mean that the psychic is mistaken in thinking he perceives an astral entity? In my opinion, both psychic and psychologists are right, and their findings are mutually explanatory. What the psychic sees is the associated complex extruded from the aura as a thought form. A great deal of relief can be given to lunatics by breaking up the thought forms that are surrounding them. But unfortunately, the relief is short lived, for unless the cause of the illness can be dealt with, a fresh batch of thought forms is built up as soon as the original ones are destroyed. Which is why you have to do your mental work. Or if you are the one helping someone else, you have to let them know that they have to do their mental work. But let's face the facts, a lot of us don't want to do that. We want somebody to save us. We want somebody to come and save us. We don't want to take responsibility for our own inner world. But that's just what I was saying about curses and hexes and spells. Most importantly, you don't have to worry about those. If you just stay calm, be cool. If you're a religious person, you say you believe in all these messiahs. I ain't gonna say their names, plenty of them. Y'all say I believe in all these messiahs. But as soon as something happens, y'all get scared. What happened to your belief? If you are a spiritualist, you say you believe in all these spirit guides and ancestors. But as soon as some shit happens, you get scared. What happened to your belief? Just stay calm. Your belief system, you have faith in your belief system. And whatever is somebody trying to do to you, I don't care who they is, what system they use, it don't matter. It's gonna go right back to their ass. You ain't gotta do nothing. What did God say? Vengeance is mine. This is my battle. You don't have to do nothing. All you gotta do is be calm and they gonna get that shit back. And we can even go back to God being consciousness. It's because their consciousness is trying to put a spell on you. If you stay calm in your consciousness and refuse to accept the shit, the bullshit, it's gonna go, it's gonna go, it's gonna go. Boing, and it's gonna go right back to their ass. You ain't gotta do nothing. You don't have to do anything but be calm. And what did God say? Let it go and let God. That's all. It's that simple. I just read that long ass chapter for the minute, an hour, and minutes to come to that conclusion that it's that simple. But I like how at the end of every chapter she tells you, she explains how to protect yourself. And what has been happening most of the time when she tells you how to protect yourself, it's usually done mentally or emotionally. But I'm gonna continue to finish reading the book because I'm gonna start what I finish. But it's usually done mentally or emotionally. And you right, it'll be taken care of. Trust in it. Trust the fact that you good. You good. As soon as you start panicking, then you lost your power. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's not easy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at some point you gotta say, you know what, man, I gotta believe in something. I gotta stand up for something. And then your beliefs turn into knowings. At first you believe you could run. Then you start running. Now you know, you're like, I know I can run. Now I believe I can run a mile. You didn't know it, but you believed it. I believe I can run a mile. I can run a mile. Then you get out there, you run that mile. Now your belief has turned into a knowing. You're like, I know I can run a mile. How do I know? Because I did it. See what I'm saying? So your belief turns to knowing, which is knowledge. Knowledge is work. Knowledge is power. But you have to believe something first to know it. So that's why in the Bible it says believe. Because God, the infinite intelligence, is smart enough to know that you don't know this stuff. You think it's a game. You think it's not real. It know this. It know that's how intelligent it is. It know like they think this shit a game. They think this is a motherfucking game. But if you believe what Jesus said, it is done unto them as they believe. When you pray, believe that you have it and it is done. Because infinite intelligence, God, the universe, the all, the oneness, the supreme most high, it knows that. It's smart enough to know that y'all humans on earth ain't gonna get it. But it's also merciful and graceful and loving enough to know it's okay if they don't get it. That's fine. I still love them. I'll still protect them. I'll still here for them. I'm still inside of them and I have given them the power. Be your guys. That's right, Mr. D. But I'm gonna drop some. We're gonna do some 11. I'm gonna go live on 11 and watch them ones gonna pop off too. Watch that live gonna be on fire. Watch all the 11s in the world gonna be jumping on that live. Watch. And we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna laugh and shit. But for real, like it's that shit true. That numerology shit. I be like, man, this shit crazy. But another thing I had to learn with the numerology and astrology is even that is external. So you don't want to give too much power to your numerology and your astrology. Take it and learn from it. But the power comes from within you. Me being a life path 8 don't mean that the 8 ruled me. I'm not ruled by the number 8. See what I'm saying? It's just a reminder from myself when I was in spirit form that when I came here in physical form to remind me, this is what you came here for. Don't forget what you came here for, because we forget. We jump in these bodies. We just forget every goddamn thing. We don't remember nothing. So the astrology, the numerology, the cardology, all this stuff is here to help us remember what we came here for, so we won't get lost. And a lot of us do get lost, and we have got lost because they took these things that were our tools and they said they was evil to stay away from them. How the hell is the number evil? You afraid of numbers? You afraid of the stars in the sky? Well, the sun might as well be evil too, then, right? But see, what I'm saying it's a mental thing. The sun, you might as well call the sun evil. If you're gonna say, "Oh, astrology evil," well, the goddamn sun is in the sky with the rest of the stars. So they don't say that's evil though, because it's just a mind fuckery. That's all it was. It's just a mind fucker, just playing mind games. That's it. Just people playing mind games we fell for, we forgot. Now we're afraid to use these tools to remind ourselves what we came here for. But we ain't gotta be afraid no more. We ain't gotta be afraid no more. You know, came here to live, and that's what we gonna do. It's time. I'm not afraid no more. I be thinking sometimes. Sometimes like when I first started my YouTube channel, I was kind of nervous because I was like, man, I don't want to start talking about this stuff, and then motherfuckers were coming after me. But then After a while, I said, man, fuck that shit. I'm gonna die anyway. I might as well die for something that's worthy of the cause. You know what I'm saying? I respect Malcolm X. I respect Martin Luther King. I respect John F. Kennedy. Them. They came here and they died for something that was worthy of the cause. Numbers all over the Bible. Crystals all in the Bible. The Son of God. Astrology all in the Bible. See what I'm saying? Just somebody playing mind games with people. And we just fell for it. But I just said, fuck it, man. I'm gonna die for something. If I'm gonna die for something, I might as well die for something good. I might as well die for something. If somebody wanted to kill me, they don't kill me for something worth killing me for. I ain't gonna just be outside and just die. No, I'm not just gonna be in the streets. And they took him out because he wanted to live in the street. Like, no, I'm gonna die for something that's worth dying for. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Not to talk about nobody or judge anybody, but people die for all type of things. You know, people die for trying to be in the streets. People die from drugs. People die from alcohol. People die from all kind of shit. Heart attacks, strokes, cancers, everything. Right? I told myself if I'm gonna die for something, it's gonna be something worth dying for. Not saying that that's what's gonna happen. That's just how I had to talk to myself to do to do this. Because at first I was a little nervous. I was like, man, I don't know about y'all, but when I grew up, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was heavily thrown in my face. So I used to see them on the stage talking, and subconsciously, I didn't notice, but subconsciously, it was building a fear up inside of me. Like, oh, you don't see what happened when you start talking? See what happened when you start talking? And then as I grew up, it even affected me in my personal life. I was afraid to express myself because I should be like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to get took out. But now I'll be like, man, fuck this shit. Cause we don't die anyway. You just leave this body, but you don't die anyway. You're gonna exist without this body. And ask yourself this question. If you ever think it's a game, right? If you ever think it's a, you know how people like, I don't believe that stuff. I'm not trying to convince nobody. I'm just saying, ask yourself this question. What was you doing before you was born? What was you doing before you popped up in your mama's stomach? Where was you at? You just popped up out of thin air? You just pop. you most likely existed before you popped up in your mama's stomach. So always ask yourself, what was I doing before I came here? What was I doing before I was born? And then another thing that I learned from who was that I learned from? I think that was it was either Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy, and they were saying stuff like he was saying like the fact that you can imagine yourself dead means that you don't die. Basically saying, how you gonna imagine yourself at your own funeral? You're supposed to be gone, right? But in a way, in a subconscious way, we do believe that we immortal beings because even most spiritualities talk. I mean, even most religions talk about the afterlife. You know what I'm saying? They most talk about the afterlife. So it's like that. It's that part of us that never forgets. But once we jump in these human bodies, we forget. We forget that we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience. This is a costume. This is a suit that I am wearing. I am wearing a suit. And when I leave here, I come out of the suit and I leave the suit behind. And I go back into my spirit form. And then it even goes beyond that and beyond that. That we picked our parents. Yeah, you picked all this, your life experience. You know what I'm saying? You picked all this, everything that you experience, and you chose to experience this. It's a virtual reality. That's what this is. This virtual reality. One of the coldest virtual reality games you could ever play. It's the coldest virtual reality game ever created. It's called Life on Earth. It's called Earth, Life, whichever one. One of the coldest virtual reality games. Because it feels so real. But it's not real. I'm not saying it's not real because it is real, but it's an illusion at the same time. Because it's more than this. It's more than this. This is just a temporary experience. Your life is a very small, temporary experience. And then you're gonna leave here and you're gonna go somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know what that place is called. I know sometimes we call it heaven, the astral plane. But I'm pretty sure it's way more vast than just those names. But the point is, let's just call it afterlife. When you leave here, you're gonna go. Your life just continues. You keep living. Blink in the eye, y'all. It go by so fast. Just think about it. I don't know how old, I don't know how young you are, but just think about how fast 5 years went past. It went by so fast. 5 years ago, you thought all that shit really mattered. You was like, oh my God, this really matters. This really matters. And then you said, 5 years past, none of that shit don't even matter no more. All that stuff you went through 5 years ago, 90% of that shit don't even matter no more. Half of that stuff you probably don't even remember no more. You got to sit down and really think about it. Oh, damn, I forgot about that. Yeah, because have you ever been told? Yep, all the time. All the time people used to say that. They didn't say it like that, but they would say stuff like you different from other people. You not like everybody else, or you real mature for your age and stuff like that. So if you 44, Mrs. E, 20 years ago, look how fast that went past. It just said before you know it, that's how life is. Before we know it, we're gonna be. I'm 36. Before I know it, I'm gonna be 95. Or I'm gonna be gone. See what I'm saying? But then you got that 11, so yeah, you definitely an old soul with the number 11. Anytime somebody got number 9, number 11, number 22 in their chart, they definitely got an old soul. And me too, y'all always hung out with older people that was older than me. And if they wasn't older than me in age, they was mentally, they was very mature. Um, Even older women. I have even been with women older than me, and they be like, "You don't act like a normal whatever age I was at the time, I ain't gonna tell my business. But you definitely more mature than your age is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I used to hang out with like my uncles and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'd be at my grandma's house chilling with my grandma. I'd be on the block with the old heads chilling with them, stuff like that. Yeah, because it's an energy. See, this appearance is just an appearance. The energy is what we picking up on. See, we think when you attracted to somebody, don't get me wrong, we be attracted to people in a physical way. You know what I'm saying? Damn, she look good. You know what I'm saying? But most it's the energy you're attracted to. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you, let's say you meet a woman and she's just gorgeous physically, her facial features gorgeous, her body shape gorgeous, and you like, man, she look good. But as soon as you get to meet her, as soon as y'all actually connect, that's when you really find out if you're attracted to her or not. Because she might look good, but once y'all actually get to talking and mingling, then you might be like, man, same thing for women. I know women experience the same thing. They meet some dude, he all fine and shit, you know what I'm saying? He got it going on. As soon as they get to mingling, I thought I was attracted to him, and you wasn't. You just saw the flesh. What the real attraction is when somebody come together and y'all talking and mingling and y'all hanging out and the chemistry. So it could be you could be attracted to somebody that you wouldn't think you would be attracted to physically, and then once y'all start talking and stuff, you like I like this person. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that be holding a lot of people back. They be so focused on the way somebody look and the material things that they possess that they look past the person and the chemistry that they feeling. So, for example, it might be a dude. He might be talking to two women. One woman she might look really good to him, but it ain't no substance there. And then the other woman she might not look as good as he would like her to look, but he loved being with her, and he still choose the one that looked good. And he ain't having no fun. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no substance going on, nothing, none of that. When he could have just chose the other girl, he would have he'd been having a blast. He would have been having a good time with her all the time. But he let his flesh and his senses determine his choice. Same thing for women. They do the same thing. They meet a man, he looking good, he got it going on in the financial department. Which as a man, I feel like we all should be doing our thing now. I'm not giving nobody no pass. Not even myself. I'm just saying a lot of women do that. They go after man, he look good, he got the house, the car, he got some money in the bank, and they choose him over the man that they actually was having a good time with, having a good conversation with, and stuff like that. But talking of the two things that threw me off, and I stopped myself. Was it like bad? Was it like bad things? Or was it like it wasn't something you could just say, you know what, maybe I'm being superficial. Or was it like I can't do this? And even like in the sex department, right? Just because a woman look good and she got all the curves in the right places, it don't mean that the sex gonna be good. It don't mean that at all. Okay, more character. Yeah, yeah, I could dig that more character things. Yeah. Cause that's me too. If I see somebody talking about people, judging people, trying to kick people down, I'm most likely gonna get moved away from that person. I can't do this. Because I'm a positive person. I believe in, seeing the good in people. I believe in stuff like that, seeing the good in people. Because we all have good and bad things, positive and negative traits. I choose to see the positive traits in the person. Now, if they too negative, I'm not gonna judge them, but I'm gonna be like, I can't be around this person. And we gonna end up clashing anyway, because some people don't even like the fact that I be positive. You know what I'm saying? They think I'm in La La Land or something. Yeah, I be going back and forth with that too. Sometimes I be wondering, like, do I really wanna? And then I ask myself, like, why? Is you doing this for like some type of external reason? But I guess it's just human nature to desire of somebody from the opposite gender. But I be thinking that too. I be like, I don't know if I should. I don't know, because especially now, like I'm really trying to be on top of my game. I'm working out. I'm practicing my guitar. I'm doing. I'm trying to improve my YouTube channel. I'm trying to improve my financial status. So I'd be like, I don't really think I even want to invest my time with somebody right now. If I do that, it's gonna have to be with somebody who on the same type of time I'm on. Like she doing the same thing. She trying to work on herself too, and not trying to take off, not trying to deplete my pockets. Because the goal is for me to improve, you know, and then we can splurge. Let's get the money right, and then we can go splurge. Then we go on cruises and trips and all that stuff. You can't be getting rid of the money before you get it. You ain't gonna never have it. So I have to, yeah, it'd have to be the same thing. You don't have to prove anything, only be yourself. That's right, Carol. Yeah, mentally, spiritually, and physically, you got to be on the same type of time hormone. It can't just be lust or superficial behavior. It gotta be. She see me and she's like, you know what? I've been doing the same thing. Discover which one person you are. Thank you, Carol. You're a wonderful person too. We are wonderful people. But thank you though. Well, yeah, she have to be on the same mission I'm on, trying to elevate. I can't be the only one meditating that night. I can't be the only one meditating. She looking at me. I'm meditating. She looking at me like this. No, no, you gotta come on. Come on, come on. You get on over so we can meditate together. Or meditate. She texting my phone. Why you ain't answer the phone? Cause I am getting it in. I am working on myself. Like you probably talking to one of them. No, I'm not. I can't have no more of that. I gotta have somebody who will motivate me. Did you meditate? Did you meditate today? That's the type of time I'm on. So I would like that. Did you meditate today? Did you do your did you exercise today? Stuff like that. Can I exercise with you? Can I go to the gym with you? Can we go to the gym together? Let me help you with your guitar. I help her with what she's trying to do. Stuff like that. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't be able to try and wake nobody. What you mean 3 minutes, Carol? What's 3 minutes? But yeah, you can't be trying to awaken nobody. See what I'm saying? until now, but it's still today. But yeah, you can't try to awaken nobody. They got to do. It got to be something that they want to do on their own. And I'm saying that because I try to do the same thing too. I'm trying to do the same thing. I meet a woman. I'm trying to get her to read books with me. Yeah, I even got a video on her about monotony gold that I had got. Ormish, yep. Yep, I even got a review I did for a company. They wanted me to do a review. I need to give me some more too. Ormish. What about Haritaki? You try Haritaki? Ormish, Haritaki, Shalaji. I tried that too. I like that. Um, what was the other one? Silver. Uh, Chlorophyll. Yeah, yeah, try that Haritaki. Haritaki and Ormus, in my opinion, are very good for this flavor. Haritaki is also good for your gut too. It helps tone your digestive system. Did I feel the benefits of astrology? I don't know. To be honest, I can't say I did or I can't say I didn't. Because I'm just always highly energetic anyway. It's just normal for my energy to be high. So I don't really need any supplements to. You know how people like, I took this supplement and then my energy went through the roof. My energy already through the roof. So I don't know. Is it a mushroom? No, it's a herb. It's called. It's like I think it's called like the cherub herb, cherub something like that. But it's a herb, and you can they grind it down to a powder, like a real fine powder, and you can take it in capsule form, or I just take teaspoons of it, and then you take it with a warm drink. So sometimes I'll make like my tea, my herbal teas, and I just take the herb turkey and then drink it. And I see why they say take it with a warm drink because when I did try to drink it with like some cold water, it was like real thick and clumpy, and it was like just hard to swallow. So I took it with the warm drink, and then, but it don't taste good either. It's kind of nasty. It's like real nasty, like. But I like it because I feel like it really do work when it comes to your brow chakra. You know what I'm saying? Your eye chakra, and I feel like almonds really work too. Well, almonds is also good for having a natural supplement because you know it got iron in it, potassium, magnesium. It got all the good stuff you use, especially if you like working out, you going to the gym. Almonds is very good for that stuff, and then it's also good for your meditative practices as well. Yeah, you definitely feel the benefits of that Haritaki. And then, like I said, you let's say you because I had even gave my mom some one time. She was having like digestive problems, and that's what Haritaki do. It decalcified her pineal. And my mom, she was having like digestive problems, and I gave her some, and she took it, and the next morning she was like, I feel better now. It's a gentle laxative. It's a laxative as well, but it's gentle. So it's not like what's that stuff called? People be using. You know how some people do them Epsom salts and prune juice. It's not like that to where you be running all over the place. It's gentle, so it'll help you flush out without. having to worry about constantly running to the bathroom. So like if you work a 9 to 5, you can take that and it's packed with all that fiber and nutrients in it. You can go to work, you can just have your daily life routine and it won't affect you. But it's gonna come out. But it ain't gonna be runny though. Yep. That's what orange is good for, especially if you take it right before you meditate. And yeah, Harataki do the same thing too. Harataki is called. Let me see it. Let me grab my thing. Got me some bag. I can show you right there. Harataki, also moringa tea. That's good too because they got all those nutrients and vitamins in it. So when people talking about, because I had one on the fruit fast, and at first I had one on the water fast, and I could just feel it. Like I could feel my energy just draining on that water fast. I was like, man, I was going to work and stuff. I was getting dizzy and lightheaded. I was like, man, I can't do this. But I ain't gonna lie. I did. I got to like day 10 or 13 or something like that, just water. And I was like, man, I can't do this. So what I had did was I had started eating fruits, and it was better with the fruits, but with the yeah, like the moringa and the oranges and stuff. If I would have been taking that while I was fasting on that water, I probably would have been good. But I wasn't taking nothing. I was just doing water. Mugwort is a good tea for when you want to relax and calm your mind too. You did the 45-day never fast. Yeah, you feeling good, wasn't you? But that's what I was gonna say. People try to talk about it like, oh, you can't be doing that because you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose all this, and you're gonna lose that stuff. Not true. All you gotta do is replenish yourself with the vitamins and the minerals. That's what the protein is. It's the vitamins and the minerals, and you can get it from plants, and herbs like dinosaurs. Look at dinosaurs. Who's the biggest, strongest dinosaurs? The herbivores. They was the biggest ones, not the meat eaters. Now, am I knocking meat? No, I'm not saying meat is a bad thing. I'm just saying that don't downplay the plants. That's all. But herbivores was the biggest ones. Like all the plant eaters, they was the biggest dinosaurs. Even look at the safari animals. Who the biggest, strongest ones? All the herbivores, all the grass eaters. Look at the zebra, big long ass neck, big ass body. He don't eat meat at all. He's a gorilla. Yeah, see what I'm saying? He eat fruit. Now I think some gorillas do eat meat, but they don't eat. That's not their main diet. Horses, yeah, horses. Look at horses. They don't eat meat. Strong as hell. It's right in our faces. We just keep letting people lie to us and tell us stuff that don't make no sense. When the answer is right in our front of our face. Yeah, cows, horses. Horses are excellent because look, they be running and shit, all burning all their energy. They ain't eat no meat. That's all grass and grain, seeds and shit. Strong as hell. See what I'm saying? So I was like, okay. And when I started paying attention to that stuff, I was like, I'm peeping the game now. So I said, I'm finna get back on it though. But yeah, Harataki. You see, it's a super brain food. That's how you spell it. Haritaki. Super brain food. What does it say? Gentle laxative. Let that focus in. Gentle laxative, tones, digestive system. Good for hair and nails. It's a it's a fruit. It's called terminalia termin terminalia chebula fruit. It's called a chebula fruit. Chebula. Chebula fruit. I guess that's how you say it. It's a fruit. I didn't even know that. Well, yeah. Haritaki powder. Try this powder. This in Ormond, this Haritaki in Ormond, them mugs like that, them like them powerhouses. And then you get so much too. Like this bag is 8 ounces. I think I paid like maybe like $25. And this bag, I done had this for months. It's time for me to restock. But I done had that for months. I don't take it all the time, but I take it enough. Cause I be trying to make sure I don't be depending too much on external stuff as well. Like I use them, like I use my crystals and stuff, but I don't wear my crystals all the time. Devil Blair, yeah, you wanna yeah. Devil Blair, one of the people I used to listen to a lot of his stuff, a lot of his work. I like Devil Blair too. Yeah, Devil Blair, he is advanced. Like it's not a lot of people ready for that. But you know what's funny about Devil Blair? Like a lot of the stuff he was saying back then, people saying now, and they be trying to say it like it's new and stuff. But a lot of this stuff has already been said. Like when people talk about quantum physics and manifestations and the law of attraction and the law of assumption, a lot of this stuff is old. We just we just didn't know about it. You know what I'm saying? We used to be trying to live a normal life, trying to pay our bills and make it through school and just trying to make it through the everyday life. Yeah, I learned a lot from Devil Blood too. Like definitely ahead of his time. Yeah. Even he was talking about the frequencies, seas and stuff. See what I'm saying? And he talked about how to protect yourself from it, so you don't have to be afraid. That's the main thing. Is you don't have we don't have to be afraid of none of this stuff. And that's the problem we've been living in too much fear. Just afraid of everything. What they gonna do to us. They ain't got that type of power. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's right. They ain't got that type of power for us to be worried about them. And whoever the hell this them is, because I don't even know who the hell them is. I know what people say who they is, but I don't know who they is. I just know we ain't got nothing to be afraid of. That's why, like religion people, I'm like, what y'all tripping off of? It's already told y'all this stuff. Y'all book already say this stuff. Just like the Bible say, it say all his weapons will be turned against him. What are you afraid of? A weapon formed against me shall prosper. There's nothing to be afraid of. But I know that's easier said than done, though. I know that. I can't sit here and say it wasn't the time when I wasn't afraid. Shit. You got a keyboard, bass, guitar. I got a I got to get me another bass guitar. I had gave it to my own, but I was trying to get more practice on my acoustic before I started playing that bass. But I want that bass guitar back now. But I'm glad I started practicing my acoustic though, because they two totally different. They two totally different. Like the bass guitar and the acoustic guitar, there's two totally different styles of play. So I said I gotta get me another bass guitar. I might get the electric, but I'm definitely getting that bass because that's the one I really want. I just want to get this acoustic because I like the way it sounds. I like the way it sounds. It sounds very calming, relaxing, and it's challenging as hell. Like, but I'm getting it though. I can see the growth. It is very challenging. And you know what made me get into guitars? I always love music. I always love music, but I was never an instrument person. I was an 808 type. You know what I'm saying? Get on Fruity Loop. I get on Fruity Loop, make a beat, write some write some rhymes to it. I write lyrics. Yeah, but I'm gonna get into writing notes and music sheets and stuff if that's what you mean. But yeah, I write lyrics though, and but I get on Fruity Loops, make a beat, write some rhymes, jump on my microphone. That was that type of musician. But I said, man, I need my own sound. Fruity Loops cool. Don't get me wrong, I like it. I love the 808. I love playing with it, making all them different patterns. But I said, I gotta get my own. I gotta get something unique to me. And then the most funny thing is, yeah, I write my own lyrics, yo. I take pride in writing my own shit. But what I can say, the most funniest thing about me getting a guitar, at first it was I want a piano. I still want a piano, but when I started studying the mind, and they started talking about left brain, right brain, conscious, subconscious, and then when you start connecting the body to the brain, the right hand is the left brain, and the left hand is the right brain. I said, oh shit. I said, if I want to tap into my intuitive side, my right brain, the best way, not the best way, but a great way to do it would be practice an instrument where I got to use my left hand. So the piano, of course, you got to use both hands. But the guitar is a whole different ball game. Because with the piano, you can go like, you get the piano, you can just go do 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 do. After you do that, after you get so many repetitions of that, you'll be good to go, right? But with the guitar, you gotta be all like, you gotta be like do 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 do. I was like, man, I'm really working this brain over here. I'm really working this right brain, and I'm proud of that. And another thing I did was I started practicing handwriting with my left hand because I'm naturally right-handed. So I started practicing with my left hand. So every day I do the ABCs, A through C, A through Z, and 0 through 9 every day. A, B, C, uppercase, lowercase, all the way through Z, 0 through 9, 3 times. And then I said, okay, so this is a good way to work my right brain, which is the intuitive, creative mind. And I said, I want that. That's what I need. So I was working at a warehouse. It was an instrument warehouse, and they had all the instruments in the world. The only thing they didn't have was a piano. So I said, I'm gonna give me one of them guitars. And then I got me a guitar. And then I started practicing. And then I started noticing this shit ain't easy. So, like for example, when I'm playing it, and I'm getting better now, but at first, like when I first started playing it, whenever I would try to do something with my right hand and my left hand at the same time, it would be very confusing. And my hand would try to do something on its own instead of what I'm trying to tell it to do. And I was like, oh, so you know how they talk about we only use 10% of our brain? I said, oh, so this is another way to access more of your brain. So by me playing this instrument, I'm now using more than 10% of my brain. And all this shit tied into spirituality in the word way. You like to draw, yeah. Drawing is another exercise for the right brain, yep. Because we're not exercising our right brain. We mostly a left brain society over here on the Western Hemisphere. So it's a lot of lack of creativity, a lot of lack of intuition as a whole. And that's why we be going through a lot of the shit we be going through. I know everybody trying to do the same thing, copy off each other, copy and paste. I want to do what I saw somebody else do. We didn't come here for that. We creative beings. We came here to express ourselves in a creative manner. But they, whoever the hell they is, the system, their plan was to not allow that. So what they did was they created schools. And at school, you got music class, but it's not really music class. I don't know how it is for other people, but I grew up in the city. I went to a public school in the city. So it wasn't really like you was learning anything. You just go to music class, sing a song, clap your hands. You might play the drum for if we even had a drum in the classroom. You basically just was a choir, basically. That's what music class was. It was a choir for a one period of the day. We wasn't in there learning no music theory or none of that stuff. We wasn't in there practicing no instruments. So even that was limited. But my but my point is that everything was logical. It wasn't no creative. It was follow the rules, follow the instructions, and you will pass. Remember this stuff and you will pass. It had nothing to do with being creative, nothing to do with being inventive, being an initiator, none of that stuff. Being an innovator, none of that. It was follow the rules, follow the instructions, memorize this stuff, and you'll get an A. It's basically your genius was never being expressed. It was just do what we tell you to do and you'll pass. Don't do what we tell you to do, you'll fail. We don't care that y'all learn differently. We don't care about that. You're gonna get an A or you're gonna get an F, depending on how many rules you follow up with. Because we all don't learn the same. We all learn differently. Some of us are more skilled in other areas. Somebody might want to be a scientist, and somebody might want to be a doctor, and somebody might want to be a lawyer. They all got different interests. Why is we in the same class? This stuff's supposed to be happening in childhood. And that's another thing that astrology and numerology play its part in. You get the children at birth. You find out what their stars are, where their planets are. You find out what their numbers are. Now you better equipped to teach the children. If I know my child is a life path 8, oh okay, I know what type of stuff he or she interested in already before they even start talking and walking and crawling around. I could come up with a whole curriculum based off of their life path and their astrology. And then they start doing this stuff from an early age. They've been a master this stuff before they was even 18. We'll be masters before we even was fully developed as a human being. So, but they know that stuff. They just took it away from us. I feel like at one point in time, everybody was ignorant, but over time, after all these studies went on, they started knowing stuff, and they said, "Oh, we ain't gonna share this with the public. We're gonna keep this away from the public." But yeah, like stuff like that, it ties in. If I know my son or daughter is a life path 11, I know what type of stuff they're gonna be interested in. I'm not putting them in no class to learn about. Let's see, a life path 11, they need something to express their imagination. See what I'm saying? They need something to express that high energy. You try to put them in a class and tell them to sit in a chair all day. That's not much like that's bad. That's not going to work. Now you can put a life out 8 in the classroom. You can put a life out 4 in the classroom. They'll sit down on their damn desk and listen to the teacher because that's their nature. Life out 1 child, they bold. They need that sense of leadership as a child. See what I'm saying? We don't even give children those roles. Oh, sit down, shut up, do what I tell you to do. This a person is the life path 1. Their natural ability is to lead. And you're taking that away from them by telling them to sit down and shut up and do what you said. Give them an avenue to express their leadership. Life path 2, teamwork, intuition. They need to be in the class where they can learn how to express their intuition, how to express their emotional selves. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine if you was in a classroom and your assignment was to guess what's behind the cards. You working on your intuition. But that's just too much power. You know what I'm saying? You can't control people like that. So that's where a lot of people get it twisted at. They forget that the goal is to keep us in control. They're not trying to empower us. They're trying to keep us you do what I say. Don't step out of line. It's not about empowering the people. And then what we do, we send our children out into this world. Exactly, because you got that's that 11. And then you probably got other stuff going on too. Your astrology. You probably got a lot of water energy in your astrology. You probably got your other numbers could be emotional numbers as well. Right, you didn't know how to deal with it and acted it out. Because just imagine if we was at school and we was taught these things. I'm not saying take away the math and the reading and the writing. That's stuff excellent as well. I'm saying just imagine if this stuff was implemented too. Imagine if when you was in the first grade, they was teaching you how to deal with your emotions and what you was feeling and how to deal with your anger and your temper. That's funny you're a Capricorn because the 11 is Leo and Cancer energy. And you know, Cancer is the opposite of Capricorn. So that's your balance right there. See, it's like the infinite intelligence knows what it is doing. That's your balance right there. Same thing for me. See what I'm saying? Like we got similar energy. I'm a destiny number 11, life path 8. So there go that Cancer Capricorn again, because 8 is the Capricorn energy. Also, my sun sign is Gemini, but I was born on the cusp. So I got Taurus energy too. I was born on May 22. So I'm a Gemini Taurus. So that helps me with my 11 energy. And vice versa. The 11 energy helps you with your Capricorn energy. So you won't be too dry. I remember I was saying that I was talking to this one girl, and she was a Capricorn. She got mad at me. She got mad at me because I told her the Capricorns be dry. I ain't mean it in the bad way, you know. I was just saying, boy, she was mad as hell. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. I apologize. What I meant to say is earth signs or grounded people. You know what I'm saying? They down to earth people. They the earth element. That's she was like, nah, you up here talking on dry. Man, that shit was funny as hell. But yeah, it always balances itself out. Destiny 4, expression 8. Okay, so it's reverse. This is reverse. Your life path 11, your expression 8. My life path is 8, and my destiny is 11. So we can learn a lot from each other because the destiny number is what you're good at. The life path is what you learning. So I'm learning as 8 stuff. I'm very good at 11 stuff. I'm learning 8 stuff this time in this physical vessel. I came here to express my power, my inner security, to be responsible, to bring order and structure into my life and my environment. See what I'm saying? And I can see why, because when I look back at my childhood, it was very much chaotic. It wasn't that stable. Now I was blessed though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying my life. Some of these stories I be hearing about people's lives, I be like, whoa, thank God, because I don't hear some wild stories about people's childhood and their upbringing in this world. So I'm very grateful for my upbringing, even though I used to complain a lot about us being poor. But now when I look back, I was like, I was never poor. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't have the material stuff I wanted. That's basically what I was complaining about. And then, I had certain relationships that I didn't like, but I didn't go through like any abuse. I didn't have to go through nothing too crazy, but it's all still tailored to each person. Like my dad, I didn't have my biological father. We didn't have a relationship. My mom, she was diagnosed with a mental health issue when I was very young. Um, I had a stepdad who was very strict, very hard and tough on me. Um, my sister passed away at an early age. We both was young, so I've been through some stuff. But like I said, I wasn't abused or had to be separated from my family or none of that crazy stuff like that. I almost did though. I almost went to the state when my mom had went through her mental breakdown. So I do thank my stepfather for that. Because if it wasn't for him, I would have been in a foster care system. So that's why I always say I am protected. You know what I'm saying? I know I am because when I look back on my life, I'm like, man, I could have been in some wild situations. Yep, it's all good. That was how old was I when my sister passed? I was 19. I had just turned 19. So that was about 17 years ago. Yo. So I've been through some things, but most of the stuff I had been through was like emotional stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like inner stuff. Having to deal with expressing myself, and I just wanted to know why shit like it just didn't make no sense that I have a dad, you know what I'm saying? And then he was like I knew who he was, but we didn't have no relationship. And I didn't see him that much. And then when I did used to see him, he'd still be gone. He wouldn't even be there. I'd be at his house, he'd be gone. The whole weekend I was there. Then he'd come back and take me back to my mama's house. And that only happened like from the span of being born to 12 years old. That only happened like 3 or 4 times over that whole year span. So I didn't. It's not like I had a constant. You know how some children go see their dad every weekend, every other week. I didn't have that. It was every 3, 4 years. Once every 3, 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And then I forgave my dad when I was 9 years old. I said, "Fuck it." One time I was on the phone. We was on the phone, and I don't know why the hell I started crying. I just started crying. I was like, "I miss you, Dad." And then he was like, "Oh, I miss you too." And then he was like, basically, he just got off the phone. I was thinking like, "Oh, what the fuck am I crying for?" This man won't even stay on the phone. I told myself when I was 9 years old, I said this year, I'm gonna let him go. I'm just let him do his thing. I ain't gonna worry about him. 9 years old. I said, I ain't gonna worry about him no more. I'm just let him go. And then I seen him again when I was 12 on my birthday. He came. He came over there on my birthday. He took me to a burger and fry shop, and then took me back to my mom's house, and that was it. But I had already forgave him and let him go. I was already used to him doing stuff like that. So on my 12th birthday, I was just like, I was just happy to get a burger and a fry. You know what I'm saying? Get out the house for a little minute. I had company and stuff. Like my cousin and friends was from the neighborhood. They was over there. So I was happy to go back home to my mom's house. And then that was the last time I seen him when I was 12. But I forgave him because I said, I don't know what he been through. I don't know I don't know what he been through to make him the way he is. You know what I'm saying? And not to take nothing from nobody, but I feel like we getting better as a whole. Cause I see a lot of dudes, a lot of black men with their children now. Even if they don't live with them, they at least get them every other weekend. You know what I'm saying? They at least come and get them and take them places and stuff like that. So I feel like we getting a lot better. And then I told myself, I said, when I have kids, I ain't gonna never do them like that. So even now, I be thinking like, what can I do to improve myself to be a better father to my children? Even though I feel like I'm a good father, I still be trying to improve more and more and more and more. But I also know I can't do everything. You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm an adult myself, I be thinking like, yeah, okay, I can see. I can't do everything. You know what I'm saying? I can't be the perfect dad. As much as I try to be, you can never be the perfect parent. It's never gonna happen. And you can't expect your children to be perfect either. It's just not gonna happen. Just be grateful for the moments of time we share together, and just try to treat each other with love and kind heartedness. That's it. That's all we can really do for each other, and just try to our best to inspire each other and uplift each other and improve yourself. Saying, especially as a father, you want to lead by example. Mm-hmm. You want to lead by example. So I feel like the best way for me to help my sons grow is I have to grow first. I gotta grow and they gotta see me. They gotta be watching me. I be seeing my dad, he be doing this and he be doing that type of stuff. He be working out. He be eating healthy. He be reading his books. They seeing me do this stuff. He makes sure he keep a job. Oh, okay. Now I see my dad. He used to work a job. Now I see he's starting to do his own thing. Now I'm starting to see he's starting to read about businesses and how to open a business and how to run a company and stuff like that. I don't expect them to do that, but as long as they see me doing it, they'll know that option is available. That they don't have to sacrifice their whole life to somebody else's corporation or company. They could invest in their own self if they choose to. If they choose to work, cool. Everybody don't want to be a boss. We got this little trend coming out now where people trying to push everybody to be their own boss. Everybody don't want that responsibility. Everybody don't want to wake up in the morning and have to scale businesses and check the books and deal with taxes and employees and customers and legal fees. Everybody don't want to deal with that stuff. Some people just okay with working. Yeah, they just watching you. That's the best way to teach them. You can't. It's hard to teach somebody something that you ain't doing. So I had stopped smoking. You know what I'm saying? I stopped smoking. I was like, I don't want them to see me smoking. So I cut it out. Because to be honest, I don't want them to smoke. They might when they grow, they might smoke a little. You know what I'm saying? They might roll them up a little J. I ain't gonna be mad at them. I just said to myself, I said I really don't want them to do that because I want them to be on their mission. But I'm also got compassion for them because I wasn't always on my mission. So I can't expect them to always be on their mission. But what I can do is if I'm on mine, maybe they'll say, because they still young. So as they grow up into men, they start getting them 18s and 20s, they might say, okay, my dad ain't doing it. I ain't seen my dad do that in years. I ain't gonna do it either. But they still gotta go out in the world and keep going and try to influence. I understand that. I understand. When they go out into the world, people gonna try to get them to do stuff. Oh, I just hope they got the mental fortitude to say no. You know what I'm saying? Or if they do decide to dabble in some stuff, at least have the mental fortitude to be able to handle it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be drinking if you can't hang now. I used to drink a lot, but I haven't had a drink in. I think the last time I had a drink was in April. But even before then, I would just drink like every now and then. But I don't be drinking like that no more. I don't even like how it tastes no more. And then I stopped smoking. I used to smoke Mary J and Black and Miles. And then one time I was smoking Black and Miles, and I was like, man, I don't even like how this shit tastes. Why am I even smoking this shit? I just kept smoking. It was just became a habit. And then and then one time I was smoking a black and I got dizzy. And I was like, oh, I'm cool. I threw that motherfucker. I was still smoking weed though. It took me a while to put that Mary Jane down. But I had stopped. When I finally stopped, I stopped. But you know what I'm saying? Weed cool though. It's just about if you're gonna abuse it or not. And I was abusing it. I was smoking it way too much. I'm saying I was smoking 3, 4 blunts a day, sometimes more than that. Just rolling up, just constantly rolling up. I was like, man, I got to chill out, man. My son, he in the room, he's almost like, you need to stop smoking. I'm like, damn. I don't even see why. I don't even know why. Why am I even doing this in front of him? But he used to tell me, Dad, you gotta stop smoking. It's not healthy for you. 5 years old. He an old soul too. My son, one of my youngest son, he's a Life Path 9 and a Destiny 11. So he got that 11. And then my oldest son, he born on the 11th day of the month. So they both got that 11. I can see it. I can see it. I'm like, these definitely my boys. Like, I could never deny them if I wanted to. Them is my sons. That's not healthy for you. I'm gonna stop. That's dope. Your son 11 life out. That's dope. See what I'm saying? But it makes sense though, because you were 11 life out. See what I'm saying? So he knew to choose a parent that could help him with what he came here for. Because you came here before he did this time. See what I'm saying? So you already got some experience that he knew he could benefit from. He's like, oh, this dude, he in the spirit world looking like, oh, this dude right here, he 11 life path. Okay. All right, that could be my dad right there. And then he chose, hey, we're going to make this happen. And then he came out, he was born. So, yeah, like, and I quit. And then one time I was chilling, and then my son, he was like, I had went to the store for my mom, because my mom, she still be getting below. She calmed down too. But I went to the store and I got her one of them little them $5 things. And my son, he was like, you ain't supposed to be smoking that. I said, this ain't for me. Well, he was on it. Okay. So there it is. Like that makes sense because y'all both got that high vibration. 22s are master builders as well. So 22s are here to definitely build something extraordinary. But but they be 22s don't really be believing in themselves because that's a lot of potential. But when they do believe in themselves, they can build some extraordinary stuff. Oprah Life Path 22. She built that. She got all that stuff she built. They can be able to. Yeah, we all can. 11s. It's the angel number, right? And if you reverse it, it can get very dark. It can get 11s can become very dark. And some of them are. Not all 11s are light beings. Some of them didn't come here for that. Some of them came here to express their dark side this time. And from darkness comes light. That's true. But it's in them. It's always in them. It's that 11 is always there. That higher frequency is always there. So even when 11s do become dark like that, they still got that sense of, I know I ain't supposed to be doing this. But they don't. But they got to do that because that's what they have to express themselves for whatever reason. But yeah, 22s is my master builder. She helped you build. That's dope. That's my birthday too, May 22. So I told myself, I said, man, you gotta work on yourself, dog. You got too many powerful numbers. Take advantage. Take advantage. Any 11 watching this video now or in the future, take advantage. That is a powerful number to have. 11 and 22 are master numbers, very powerful. Some people say 33. I stay away from the 33 for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like at some point, some people just kind of go crazy with it. Next thing you know, it'll be 44, 55, 66. So, but I know 11 and 22 for sure. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, so why not 33? Then I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, 11, you got that sun and that moon right there. 22, you got the moon energy. So I'm like, okay, these master numbers got energies that are not planets in them. 33 would be, 3 is Mars energy. I mean Jupiter energy. 3 is Jupiter energy. That's a planet. That's not a, you know what I'm saying? And then another thing I was thinking about was the month. It stopped at 31. It's only 31 days in the month. 28-day cycles. I don't know how I even came up with this stuff. I was just sitting down thinking about it. And I was like, if it is some 33, then that's cool. That ain't my business. I'm not here to knock nobody and say it's not. It's just not something that I talk. I don't really talk about 33 that much. But even in this book I be reading, it's in here too. Destiny number 33. It's in there too. So I'm aware of it, and I do be looking at it. And I do be looking at it. But basically, 33, they would be like the very, see, and then the way they put it, the master teacher. Yeah, it would be the master teacher. But 11s can be that too. So I'd be like, I don't know. But I guess the difference would be 11s don't have to be teachers. They could just be beacons of light. And you can learn from them just from them being them. Versus the 33 would be delivery a philosopher type of person. See what I'm saying? 11s don't have to be philosophers. They could just be high energetic people. So you can learn a lot from the 11, and they don't have to be teaching you nothing. You can just learn from them by watching them. Versus 33 will be teaching you stuff. So I'm not here for that. But 23, 22 is that builder, the builder. They came here to build stuff. And most importantly, they came here to rebuild themselves. I also read that they are very innovative. The 33, yeah, kind of like a hermit type of person too. Kind of like a preacher, priest type of person. Versus the 11 is, like I said, an angelic type of person. So they don't have to preach nothing to you. You just gonna see them do some shit. And you just gonna see them do some supernatural shit. But 11s also could be justice, people to deal with the judicial system, people who um, you know, believe in justice. 11 is definitely the influencer. Yes, the influence. Very influential people. Yeah. But I'm about to get up off this one. It was good talking to you, Mr. D. We're going to do an 11 one of these days. But yeah, I'm going to get up off of here, get myself, I don't know, go kick it for a minute before I get ready to call it a night. Peace and love to y'all. I'll see y'all next time.